You ever get that weird gut punch when you check your bank balance and see a number that should make you happy, but instead you just feel kinda numb? Like you finally hit $25,000 in savings, no debt, no overdrafts, actual breathing room, and yet you're still scrolling job boards at 2 a.m. wondering if you'll ever feel secure? Yeah, that's not a glitch. That's your brain screaming that you've crossed into uncharted territory. Welcome to the 25K paradox, the exact moment money stops being about survival and starts being about identity. And honestly, most people completely freeze up here because nobody warned them this would feel like standing on the edge of a cliff with no safety net. You're not broke anymore, but you're not rich either, so what the hell are you supposed to do? My name's Alex, and I used to think hitting 25K meant I'd unlocked the adulting achievement badge. Spoiler, it didn't. Instead, I spent 3 months refreshing my savings account like it was a live sports score, terrified I'd accidentally spend it all on DoorDash or a limited edition hoodie. If you're stuck in that same loop, feeling richer on paper but emotionally still broke, stick around. This is where your real financial life actually begins. Now, before you roll your eyes and say 25K isn't even that much, let me drop some truth. According to the Federal Reserve's 2024 report, half of all U.S. households have less than $25,000 in liquid savings, not net worth, just cold hard cash they could access tomorrow. So yeah, you're already ahead of the curve. But here's the twist. Being ahead doesn't feel like winning, it feels like pressure. Because now you've got choices, real ones. Do you invest, pay off that lingering credit card, start a side hustle fund, or just leave it there and pray nothing breaks? When you had $2,000, life was brutally simple. Rent, ramen, repeat. But $25,000, that's the sweet spot where your brain short circuits from too many options and zero instruction manual. Psychologists call this decision paralysis, and it's why so many people who finally get ahead end up blowing it on a shiny distraction like a new car they deserved or a vacation to celebrate. But here's the math that keeps me up at night. If you stash that 25K in a high-yield savings account earning 4.5% APY, you're making $93.75 every month without lifting a finger. That's more passive income than 60% of Americans generate in a year. And yet your lizard brain still whispers, but what if you lose it? Because when you've spent years in survival mode, abundance feels like a trap. Your body's still wired for scarcity, even though your bank app says otherwise. You've got food in the fridge, rent's paid, and your emergency fund could cover 6 months of chaos, but you still flinch when Amazon charges $29.99. That's phantom poverty. It's not in your wallet, it's in your nervous system. Studies from Princeton show that chronic financial stress literally rewires your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles long-term planning. So even when you're safe, your mind's still scanning for threats like a stray dog in a thunderstorm. You're not broken, you're just deprogrammed slower than your bank balance grew. Then comes the comparison spiral. You tell yourself you're not looking at others, but suddenly you're stalking your college roommate's Instagram, watching them post from Bali while you're budgeting for toilet paper. At 2K, you didn't compare, you knew you were in the trenches. But at 25K, now you're eyeing the people above you, convinced you're falling behind. Newsflash, you're not behind, you're just playing a different game. Because here's what no one admits. $25,000 is the launch pad, not the destination. It's the exact amount where compound interest starts whispering promises of freedom if you don't sabotage it with lifestyle inflation. So take a breath. You didn't fail, you just hit the first real test of wealth building, choosing patience over panic. And trust me, the next 5 minutes will show you exactly how to pass it.
All right, let's cut through the noise. You've got 25K sitting there like a loaded gun, and most people accidentally shoot their future by treating it like fun money. I've seen it 100 times. Someone hits this number, feels invincible, and immediately trades their emergency fund for a lease on a Tesla they can totally afford. But here's the brutal truth. Affording a payment isn't the same as building wealth. Your goal right now isn't to look rich, it's to become rich quietly and consistently. And that starts with protecting your capital like it's the last clean water on Earth. Because once you dip into that 25K for non-emergencies, you're not just spending money, You're erasing years of compound growth before it even begins. Think of it like pulling up a seedling the day after you plant it and going, doesn't look like much, guess I'll eat it. So step 1, lock down your emergency fund, but not in some random checking account earning 0.01%. Park it in a high-yield savings account paying at least 4% APY. That's free money while you sleep, and it keeps your cash liquid but out of reach of impulse buys. I personally use a separate bank with no debit card, just a login. Makes it harder to accidentally spend it on concert tickets or a limited edition sneaker drop. Now, how much should stay liquid? For most folks making 40K to 80K a year, 10K to 15K is your sweet spot. That's 3 to 6 months of real expenses, not your ideal Pinterest life, but your actual rent, groceries, insurance, and minimum debt payments. Why? Because the average job hunt takes 4.3 months in 2026. Your emergency fund isn't for I want, it's for oh crap, my car just died and I need to eat. This chunk of cash is your screw you fund. It's what lets you walk away from a toxic boss, say no to overtime that burns you out, or take 2 weeks off to reset without panic sweating. And yeah, it's boring. It won't get likes on social media, but it's the bedrock of every financially free person I know. Without it, you're one flat tire away from credit card debt and back to square one. So once your emergency fund is set, attack any debt charging more than 7% interest. Credit cards, personal loans, that buy now, pay later trap you fell into during Prime Day, zap those first, because math doesn't care about your feelings. Paying off an 18% APR card is the same as earning an 18% return, risk-free. No stock, no crypto, no side hustle comes close to that guaranteed win. Let me show you the domino effect. Say you've got $5,000 on a credit card at 19% APR. Minimum payments would take you 12 years to pay off and cost you $6,200 in interest alone. But if you use 5K of your 25K to wipe it out today, you just freed up $150 a month and saved thousands. That's not sacrifice, that's strategy. And now you've got momentum. What's left? Let's say you kept 12K for emergencies and paid off 5K in high-interest debt. You've got $8,000 left, and this is where most people freeze again. Should I invest, save more, wait for the market to dip? Stop. Overthinking is just fear in a fancy hat. The move is simple. Invest the rest in a low-cost, diversified index fund. Not Apple stock, not Bitcoin, not your cousin's CBD gummy startup. Go with something boring like VTI, Vanguard Total Stock Market, or FXAIX, Fidelity 500 Index. These track the entire US market, charge almost nothing in fees, and historically return about 10% annually over the long haul. And before you say, but the market's too high right now, remember, time in the market beats timing the market every single time. Even if you invest the day before a crash, staying invested for 10 plus years still wins. Here's the magic most beginners miss. That $8,000 isn't just $8,000. If it grows at 10% per year, in 10 years, it's $20,750. In 20, $53,820. In 30, nearly $140,000, all from doing absolutely nothing after hitting buy. But only if you leave it alone. Touch it, panic sell, or yank it out for a once-in-a-lifetime deal, and you break the spell. Compound interest needs 2 things: time and silence. And speaking of silence, stop checking your portfolio daily. Seriously, every time you refresh that app, you're feeding anxiety, not intelligence. The market will dip, it always does, but since 1926, the S&P 500 has never had a negative 20-year return, not once. So unless you're planning to retire in the next 18 months, short-term swings are just noise. Treat your investments like a slow cooker meal. Set it and forget it. Now let's talk behavior, because this is where 90% of people fail. You've got your emergency fund safe, your toxic debt gone, and your investing started. Feels good, right? Dangerous good, because now your brain whispers you've earned a reward. And that's when lifestyle creep slithers in like a financial kudzu vine. Suddenly, you're upgrading your phone, eating out 4 nights a week, or leasing a nicer apartment since you can afford it. But can afford is a trap. Can you make the payment? Maybe, but can you afford to delay financial independence by 5 years? Because that's the real cost. Every extra $300 a month on rent or dining out is $300 not compounding. At 10% returns, that's $180,000 lost over 20 years, not because you were reckless, but because you normalized comfort too soon. The fix? Automate everything. Set up auto transfers to savings and investments the day after payday before you even see the money. Then live on what's left. This flips the script. Instead of saving what's left over, which is usually zero, you're forcing your lifestyle to fit your priorities. And weirdly, you'll adapt faster than you think. Humans are great at adjusting to less, but terrible at stopping themselves from wanting more. Also, audit your subscriptions like a detective. The average person wastes $219 a month on unused apps, streaming services, and gym memberships they haven't visited since January. Cancel 3 things this week. That's $600 a year back in your pocket. Redirect that directly into your index fund. Small leaks sink big ships, and your future self will thank you for plugging them now. Finally, redefine what success looks like. Wealth isn't a Lambo in your driveway. It's the quiet confidence that you could handle a crisis, change careers, or take 6 months off without begging. The richest people I know drive 10-year-old Hondas, pack lunches, and shop at Costco in sweatpants. They're not miserable, they're free. And freedom doesn't post selfies, it just exists. So if you're sitting at $25K right now, don't celebrate by spending. Celebrate by securing. Protect your foundation, kill your high-interest debt, invest the rest, and lock your lifestyle in place for the next 12 months. Do that, and you won't just keep your $25K, you'll turn it into $100K faster than you think. Because the game changed the moment you hit this number. Now you're not surviving, you're building. And building takes discipline, not drama. No grand gestures, no viral money hacks, just consistent, boring choices that compound into something extraordinary. So take a breath. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. Now let's make sure you don't waste it.
Okay, let's get real about what happens after you've set up your emergency fund, killed your high-interest debt, and started investing. Because now comes the sneaky part, the invisible enemy that derails more people than market crashes or bad luck. It's not inflation, it's not fees, it's your own damn habits. And if you don't catch them early, they'll quietly bleed your $25K dry while you're busy feeling responsible. I'm talking about micro-spend leaks, the $5 lattes, the impulse Amazon orders, and the it's only $12 subscriptions that somehow multiply like gremlins. Alone, they seem harmless, but add them up, the average person wastes $400 to $600 a month on stuff they barely remember buying. That's $7,200 a year, enough to fully fund a Roth IRA or double your emergency cushion. And it vanishes without a trace. Here's how to plug the leaks without turning into a spreadsheet monk. First, track every dollar for 30 days. Not to judge yourself, but to see where your money actually goes. Use an app like Mint or just a note stock. You'll be shocked how fast just lunch becomes $300 a month. Then pick one category to slash, not eliminate, just reduce. Maybe it's dining out, shopping, or delivery apps. Cut it by 50% for 90 days. Redirect that cash straight into your index fund. Second, implement the 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases over $50. See something shiny? Sleep on it. Most cravings die by morning. And if you still want it after a day, fine, but pay for it with cash from your fun money bucket, not your investing account. This tiny pause builds muscle memory. You start seeing money as a tool, not a mood booster. Now let's talk income, because protecting your $25K is half the battle. Growing it faster is the other half. And no, I don't mean grinding a second job until you burn out. I mean strategic income stacking. Start by auditing your current skills. What do you do at work that people would pay for freelance? Writing, design, data entry, even basic Excel wizardry can fetch $25 to $50 an hour on Upwork or Fiverr. Pick one skill, package it into a simple offer like I'll build your monthly budget in Google Sheets for $75 and pitch it to 3 people this week. Not your whole network, just 3. You'd be amazed how many side gigs start with a casual, "Hey, I noticed you're hiring, can I help?"
The goal isn't to replace your job, it's to generate an extra $200 to $500 a month of pure investable income. That's $2,400 to $6,000 a year going straight into compounding. And here's the kicker. That side income should never touch your lifestyle, not even a little. Automate it straight into your investment account the moment it hits your bank. Why? Because earned money feels extra, so spending it doesn't hurt until you realize you've trained yourself to need that income just to maintain your new normal. Break that cycle early. Let side hustle cash work, not play. Next up, taxes. Yeah, I know, yawn, but ignoring them is like leaving cash on the table. If you're in the US, max out your 401k match first, free money. Then fund a Roth IRA up to the limit, $7,000 in 2026. In Canada, hit your TFSA. UK, use your ISA allowance. These accounts let your money grow tax-free or tax-deferred, which adds up to hundreds of thousands over time. A 7K Roth contribution at 25 could be worth $150K by 65, untaxed. Don't overcomplicate it. Just pick one tax-advantaged account and automate contributions. Even $200 a month makes a massive difference. And if your employer offers an HSA, a health savings account, treat it like a stealth retirement account. You can invest the funds after a certain balance, and withdrawals for medical expenses are always tax-free. Triple win. Finally, let's reset your mindset. You're not just someone with 25K. You're a wealth builder, and wealth builders think differently. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, does this align with my long-term freedom? They don't chase shiny objects, they chase margin. More savings rate, more options, more peace. So protect your capital like it's oxygen, grow it like it's a garden, and ignore anyone who says you're missing out by not spending. Because here's the secret no one tells you. The richest phase of your financial life isn't when you hit $1 million. It's right now, at 25K, when you still have decades of compounding ahead and the power to choose your future. Don't waste it chasing validation. Build quietly. Win loudly.
All right, you've protected your foundation, plugged the leaks, started stacking income, and locked in tax advantages. Now comes the final boss of the 25K phase. Staying consistent when nothing exciting happens. Because let's be honest, investing isn't sexy. Watching a chart go up 0.3% on a Tuesday feels like watching paint dry, and that's exactly when most people quit. They expect fireworks, instead they get silence. No parade, no notification saying, congrats, you're now financially responsible. Just the same old bills, same old grind, same old bank balance that creeps up so slowly it's almost invisible. But here's the truth. Wealth is built in the boring middle, the months where you do the right thing even though it feels pointless. That's your edge. So how do you stay motivated when progress is glacial? First, stop checking your portfolio daily. Seriously, uninstall the app if you have to. Your net worth isn't a live sport, it's a slow cooker stew. Stirring it every hour won't make it done faster, it'll just make you anxious. Check once a quarter. Celebrate contributions, not balances. You win by showing up, not by watching numbers bounce. Second, create a why anchor. Write down one sentence. I'm doing this so I can blank. Maybe it's so I never beg for a paycheck again, or so my kid doesn't inherit my money stress. Tape it to your fridge, set it as your phone wallpaper. When lifestyle creep whispers you deserve this, your why shouts back louder. Purpose beats impulse every time if you keep it visible. Third, measure what actually matters, your savings rate. Not your net worth, not your account balance, but the percentage of income you're saving and investing. If you're putting away 15 to 20% consistently, you're winning, even if the market dips. Because over time, your savings rate matters more than market returns. A 20% saver will outpace a 10% saver, even if the latter picks hotter stocks. Discipline compounds too. Now, let's talk about the emotional landmines ahead. Around the 30-40K mark, you'll start feeling normal. The panic fades, the novelty wears off, and that's dangerous because comfort breeds complacency. You'll skip a month of investing just this once, or justify a small splurge because I've been good. But those tiny slips snowball. One skipped month becomes 3. One splurge becomes a habit. Fight it with systems, not willpower. Automate everything: savings, investments, debt payments, so your future self doesn't have to negotiate with your tired, impulsive present self at 11 p.m. on a Friday. Willpower fails, automation wins. And if you ever feel tempted to dip into your emergency fund for something non-urgent, ask, will this matter in 5 years? Spoiler, 99% of the time it won't. Also, surround yourself with the right voices. Mute the finance influencers selling Lambos and get-rich-quick schemes. Follow people who preach patience, simplicity, and long-term thinking. Better yet, find one real-life friend who's on the same path. Text each other when you hit milestones, even small ones. Accountability turns solitude into solidarity. And honestly, it makes the journey less lonely. Now, a quick reality check. You will mess up. You'll overspend, you'll panic sell during a market dip, you'll forget to contribute one month, and that's okay. Wealth building isn't a straight line. It's a wobbly staircase with occasional backward steps. What matters isn't perfection. It's getting back on track faster than last time. Every comeback is proof you're learning. And remember, 25K wasn't your finish line, it was your launch pad. From here, every dollar you protect, every percent you save, every year you stay invested multiplies silently in the background. In 10 years, you won't remember the latte you didn't buy, but you will remember the freedom that 25K helped build. So don't stop, don't compare, just keep going. Because the people who win aren't the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who stayed in the game long after everyone else got bored. And you're still here. That already puts you ahead. So lock in, breathe, and trust the math. Your future self is already thanking you. They just don't know it yet. If this helped you see 25K not as an end, but a beginning, hit like and subscribe. I drop new videos every week breaking down the quiet, powerful habits that actually build wealth. No hype, no fluff, just real talk for real people. Drop a comment below. What's your why keeping you on track? I read everyone.